I'm Courtney, the host of This Is Fine, Right? This podcast exists for the moment when you catch yourself asking that question, is this actually fine? If you're here, something in you already knows there's more to look at. And this is your permission to investigate it in your body, your emotions, your patterns, and the way you're living your life. We talk about chemistry, signals in the body, lived experience, motherhood, and how all of these parts connect, not from a place of fixing yourself, but from understanding yourself. This isn't about you becoming the best version of you. Let's be honest. You're here because your body and mind already led you here. You don't need to be reinvented. You need clarity, direction, and encouragement as you stay in the driver's seat of your own health. I'm not your average gal pal. I get real, a little sciencey, and I'll help you learn how to work with your body instead of against it. So let's get into it. Alrighty, so I want to share why I'm talking about this before we dive in. This episode isn't about telling you whether GLP-1s are good or bad. It's about what it looks like to stay in a conversation with your body while using a tool instead of overriding it. My health journey has taught me that no protocol works the same for everyone, and that clarity doesn't come from trends. It comes from listening, noticing patterns, and adjusting in real time. If you've ever wondered whether something was helping, hurting, or somewhere in between, this episode is for you. This is the exact skill I help women build, understanding what their body is communicating so they can make informed decisions without panic or blind trust. Hey guys, welcome to another episode of This Is Fine, Right? With me, Courtney. Okay. So this subject is I don't know. It could be a little touchy, but I ain't afraid of that. I'm going to go there anyway. This is just my opinion and based off my experience. Okay. So I'm a total health nerd, and I feel like a big topic that has been going around a lot lately is peptides. Specifically, I'm going to be talking about the one called GLP, which is been known to be used for diabetics and also the weight loss drug. So after I had my son, actually, no, right before I had my son, I was 34 years old. And I felt like I was struggling with my hormones. Now, if you go back and listen to the first episode that I posted about my story and all of my health issues, I don't know if I mentioned it in that episode, but when I was sick, I was told that I might not be able to get pregnant because of all the issues I was having. So because of that, I was very concerned about my hormones and making sure I was going to be okay. And what I had noticed is that right before my period, like my PMS state, it was just so bad. My husband was like, you are two different people. And this is after I had gotten my digestion fixed and all the other stuff I was struggling with. But so I went to the doctor for it, and they felt that I had what's called PMDD. And this is premenstrual dysphoric disorder, basically meaning there's a sensitivity, not necessarily to your hormones, but a sensitivity in the fluctuation of it. Basically, anytime my estrogen would go up or my progesterone would go down or anything like that, my body was highly sensitive to it. Therefore, reacting like, hi, I'm a soft little kitten to, I'm going to stab you in the face 5 times. Not very good. Not fun. So because of this, and this is very common, ladies, listen, they want to prescribe you an SSRI, like Prozac or something, to basically calm the nervous system, so you stay more, how do I want to say, stable through this process. So I decided to do that. I'm a very natural person. I had done everything I could, mushrooms, tinctures, all the teas, all the stuff to help calm my nervous system. And it wasn't working. So I got on an SSRI, and one of the things I had noticed about 3 months in was that I was having night sweats. I mean, severe night sweats. Like, I was sleeping with towels. I would have a towel. I would sleep on a towel, and then my blanket was a towel. And I would probably change my clothes. So at this point, I'm not wearing any clothes. I'm just wearing fucking underwear. And I would change my underwear like 3 times a night. And I woke up smelling like enchiladas daily. It was disgusting. Then I had found out that I was pregnant. So I was like, oh, is this SSRI or is this pregnancy? So when they had found out that I was pregnant, the SSRI that I was on, I actually could not take while pregnant. There's certain kinds that you're allowed to take while you're pregnant. So I'm still on this SSRI. So you can imagine I'm still having these night sweats, which means I am not sleeping. And the doctor was really worried because they're like, you know what? You're pregnant. You need to be sleeping. Not to mention, I will save this for another podcast, but I was also had a high risk pregnancy, not just because of my age. I was going to have my son at 35, but also I had what's called placenta previa. So basically, and not even just because I had placenta previa, but like any woman, when you go to sleep, you are supposed to be basically rehabilitating your body. And as a woman, you really need to be able to do that, especially if a lot of your resources are going to a child. So because of this, they wanted to take me off an SSRI. And I was like, you know what? Bring on the moods. I was mostly afraid that I wasn't going to be able to get pregnant. And here I am. I'm pregnant. And I'm not pregnant because I'm on an SSRI. So boom, got rid of it. Had my son. And that was also a very scary labor and delivery. Again, another podcast. And I had the hot flashes and the night sweats. Now, the thing is this is very normal after having a child because the hormones fluctuate so much that your body's just like, what are we doing? And then you start breastfeeding, which is also another hormone that comes on. So your body is just jacked. And this is why people get postpartum issues like postpartum depression, which I had. Well, I felt I had. Maybe this is another podcast. Maybe I'll just do the whole pregnancy from beginning to end podcast. Basically, I was a sad girl. There was a lot of things that were just showing that I was unwell. I decided to go back on an SSRI. Could not believe that my night sweats actually got worse. Not only at night, but during the day, I was nasty. I was stinky and I was sweaty. And this was even like after I was breastfeeding, I was like, this isn't right. So I went off it. And what I noticed was that my night sweats did get better. They weren't fully gone, but they got better. And I wasn't sweating as much during the day. Isn't this great? This is like, I'm mostly concerned with sweating. Like, it was enough for me to make a podcast on my freaking sweating. So, yeah, there's that. So I decided to reach out to a naturopath because, of course, I'm getting blood work. They're like, literally, I was told so many times, I wish my patients had your blood work. Oh my God, you're like a shiny new penny. Okay. I'd gone through that so much, being told I'm so perfect. And it's like, yeah, I'm in here because I feel perfect. No, obviously not. I'm in here because I smell like Doritos. So I decided to go to a naturopath and I did what's called a Dutch test. Ladies, this is the best test to get for your freaking hormones, because if they're just doing a blood draw to figure out where you are in your hormones, first of all, they should be asking you to do this on certain days of your cycle. Because obviously you change so much throughout your cycle in order to measure estrogen, progesterone, testosterone type dips, you got to measure it at a certain point in your cycle. So if they're not telling you that, don't even waste your time. The reason I really liked the Dutch test was because it was measuring me for 5 days at a certain point in my cycle. And it wasn't just one time a day. It was in the morning, at night, and if I got up in the middle of the night to pee. But I didn't do that because I trained my bladder how to not do that. So maybe that'll be another podcast. Ugh, okay. Anyway, with that, and the reason why, I get hesitant to do these things is because obviously the stuff that you are going to get real answers from is going to cost you $1 million fucking dollars. So this test cost me money, but I did it. And I'm so glad I did, because afterwards I was told that based off of my results that my estrogen was not only in the tank, but I wasn't eliminating the bad estrogen. I'll explain that later. And that my testosterone was a little bit low. So I found a doctor who could help me manage that. And this is going back to, okay, well then maybe I didn't have PMDD. Maybe this was my problem. So I started to put some stuff together. So SSRIs need serotonin in order to work. Serotonin is produced by estrogen. So if I am somebody who is not producing very much estrogen, that means I wasn't producing very much serotonin. So when I'm taking an SSRI that's trying to survive off my serotonin, it's going to try to get as much as it can. So it's going to wait until I'm asleep when I'm supposed to be rebuilding. And it's going to take everything I got. So because it was taking everything I got, I was getting my night sweats. Ding, ding, ding. SSRIs are not for women that have really low estrogen. You don't got enough to go around. So I got off it. So now it's like, okay, I got to figure out what to do with my estrogen. So now I'm on estrogen, testosterone. And at the time, I was also on an SSRI that was making me gain a ton of weight. I had gained 20 pounds in 2 months. And we're still just trying to figure out what works, what doesn't. I got an estrogen patch. My night sweats got much better. I got on testosterone. Holy libido. Careful with that stuff. Tree even looks like a good time to you if you get a little too much of that. So, there's that. So, things were getting better, but the weight, I could not get the weight off. So I went to my doctor and I was like, listen, I'm not liking this weight. I'm trying to work out. My clothes, I'm literally like having to size up in clothes like what it seems like every week. 20 pounds in a couple months, that's a lot. And I was like, it's uncomfortable. My feet are hurting. My ankles are hurting. My knees are hurting. Like, it's what's going on. And in my research with GLP, I knew it was for diabetics, that people were using it for losing weight, but I also knew that it was good for inflammation. So because of this, not only was I going to get help in the weight loss department, but my doctor really thought that a lot of this had to do with the inflammation and obviously in doing the hormones and that giving my body the hormones that it needed. It was kind of going into a fight or flight situation because it's like, what the fuck? We're actually going to function now? No. So it created all this inflammation, which is why I was also getting the pain in my body. And I was like, you know what? Okay, let's try it. And so what GLP does for diabetics struggle with insulin resistance and their glucose, blood sugar. So what the GLP does
is it helps control that by suppressing the appetite. Everything just moves a little slower so it can try to regulate. And what will happen, not to everybody, but sometimes they end up having to increase that dose. Your body will get used to things. It's smart. And it's like, haha, I've outnumbered the GLP. So they increase the dose for it to continue to work in the way that they need it to medically. Now, if you're doing that just to lose weight, other things are going to happen. So I knew I just want to start with the lowest dose and just see what happens. Here's the truth. In 2 months, I lost 21 pounds. In a week, I lost 10 pounds. This is how my doctor knew, holy shit, that's inflammation. That's crazy to lose 10 pounds in a week. So my body was feeling good in the pain department, but let me tell you the truth. Now, this is my experience. I felt like shit. I mean, my jeans were fitting better. I was all kinds of skinny. But I was like hungry, but like felt like I couldn't eat because I didn't have a stomach that could allow it. Because again, your motility, your digestion, everything slows down so much that if you eat too much of a meal, you feel like shit. And it's like turns off the hunger cue. You like forget to eat. So in my mind, in my health background, I'm like, this isn't good. I can't believe people are doing this. Like, think about it. If you're teaching your body not to fuel, what's going to happen when you go off it? Probably gain all the weight back. Or like, you're going to have to try really hard to rebuild how you break down food. So it's making me nervous. And I thought that maybe I would get used to it because basically with the dose, I was doing a very low dose. So I was only doing it once a week. And what would happen is when I would do this dose, I would be exhausted. Now, fatigue is known to happen with GLP. Why? Because you're slowing everything down. You're not eating enough food to get any type of energy. You're slowing down the bile. Okay, so bile is what removes toxins from your body. And you're just not fueling the body to be like, hey, let's go for a run. The only thing I could do during that time was a walk. That's all I could fathom to get done. So when I would do the GLP, when I would take the dose, I would be out really tired, fatigued out for like 3 days at least. And in that time, also severe nausea. So I had to force myself to eat. Now, here was the other problem. I'm a pretty healthy person, but think about it. You're on an island. You're starved. Are you like, if you have the option of eating your cheeseburger and some cake versus an apple and a salad, what are you going to do? I don't know about you, but I'm going to eat the burger. So during this time, I probably ate worse than I've ever eaten because I just wanted to eat what I wanted to eat. I felt nauseous. So I was like, what sounds good? I'm going to eat what sounds good. So I will hopefully feel okay after I eat. And then I would eat and I would be exhausted too. So it was just like, I don't really know about this drug. Not a drug. Peptide. It's a peptide. Okay. So it was doing what it was supposed to do. But within a couple months, I had lost the 21 pounds. The weight that I had gained, I had lost it. And I was like, you know what? This isn't necessarily worth it for me because I don't like the way I'm feeling. And I just see at the end of the tunnel, this creating a perfect storm for my body. And I'm also, now I'm back to crazy ass night sweats again. And I'm doing the estrogen like before. And I'm doing the testosterone like before. But why are my night sweats so bad. So when I went to my doctor, I was saying, you know what? Going back to when I had talked to the naturopath, they had told me I wasn't making much estrogen, but the estrogen that I was making was recycling, not eliminating. So what happens is whenever you need to get a toxin or yuck to come out of your body, it uses bile. Bile and the liver work together to push the stuff out of your body, which means it should be eliminating my yuck estrogen so I can create good estrogen. I'm thinking, that's going to need bile. Then the GLP is slowing things down so much, including my bile, that even more is not getting depleted from my body. So, all in all, I'm like, wait a minute. I need to get off this GLP and I need to really kick some ass in the bile department. Now, I know how to do this. I had done it before when I was really, really sick. I know how to juice up my bile. Now, it's crazy because back in the day when I was really sick, I just thought, I knew a lot came from the gut. And I thought, this is obviously going to help me with my digestion. It's going to help me with my skin. And it did all those things, but I didn't realize how much it might have affected my hormones. I didn't realize exactly how the estrogen had worked and that this recycling and getting rid of the old stuff and then doing the new thing. So what I decided was, obviously, I'm going to get off the GLP and I'm going to start really working on my bile and see what happens with it getting rid of, helping out my liver and getting rid of the yuck estrogen. I have no idea how that's going to go. You know why? Because I found this out like a couple days ago. So I'm going to go ahead and do some self-testing, see where I'm at in the bile and anabolic department and get to regulating that. But in general, to sum this up, that was my experience with GLP. So I'm not saying that this is what happens to everybody. I do know that there's people out there that were able to increase their dose. I never increased my dose. And so I thought in order for me to get off, I was going to have to like cycle off. No, I was able to just be done. And so if you are getting off GLP or if you're thinking about doing it, consider where your dose is at, because you do have to slowly come off it depending on where you're at. And that could take like a month-ish or more to do, depending on where you're at. The other thing is that there was some really good benefits to the GLP. Yes, I wanted to lose the weight, but obviously I needed to lose the inflammation. So I was nervous. I was a little nervous going off because I'm like, oh God, now am I going to be in a lot of pain? Well, my doctor had told me. Now, here's the thing with the GLP. Every week you have to get in whatever dose it is, however you want to do it. If you want to do 2 shots a week, you could do that. If you want to do, 1 shot a week, you could do that. Shot, because I'm saying I took it as an injection. Just so you know, these needles are super tiny. I am terrified of needles. Terrified. And I was totally able to do it. So I'm very proud of myself. But she had told me that if I just want to do it for inflammation, I can do an injection maybe once a month or 2 times a month. And knowing that what's going to come with it, right? I'm going to do it. I'm going to be sleepy and not feeling great for about 3 days. And I'll probably feel optimally again around 5 days. So that's another thing, right? So if I was taking this GLP once a week and I was feeling like, so I would do it on Sunday and I was feeling like crap for the first 3 days and I didn't finally start feeling myself till Friday. And then I would do it again on Sunday. So you can imagine I was feeling crappy most of the time. So I know that if I continue to do it, which I'm going to, I haven't experienced this yet, but I'm going to try just doing injections once a month and see how that does with my inflammation. So I can get back to you on that. But I know that when I go to do it, that week I'm probably going to be pretty spent. But so now that I'm off it and I'm going to be focusing on my bile, it's been about a week and a half, and it's taken a while to feel like, one, I have some energy, two, that I could really eat a meal and be okay. I'm still having to eat like a little gerbil, but the key thing is to, if you're on GLP, eat as much as you can so that when you do get off it, your system doesn't go into a freaking tailspin. You just gain all the weight back. Your hormones fluctuate like crazy. Just do the best you can in thinking about, who am I going to be when I get off this? Because it's not meant to be something you have to take forever, especially if you're in the weight loss department. Diabetics, it's medical. Something like that could literally change their life. And also know that when you're on GLP, at least for me, I was fatigued as shit. There was no way I was going to be able to do any kind of weightlifting, which I enjoy doing. So the first thing to go was my ass. I got flat ass. GLP likes muscle. It gets more out of that. So just know you're probably going to have to work pretty hard to keep that apple bottom. But yeah, so that's my experience. That's my opinion. That's my knowledge. I'll do another episode later to seeing how this bile and estrogen goes and how I feel off testing GLP twice a month just for inflammation, and how my body recoups after not taking it for a couple months. So there's an earful for you. I hope I educated you. I hope I get some wheel brain juice turning if you are thinking or considering this peptide, the pros and cons to it. All right, guys, I will see you in the next episode. Bye.
If something in today's episode resonated, you're always welcome to stay close. I write weekly letters and offer one-on-one support for people who want to understand their body more deeply, so they can keep listening, keep responding, and keep moving forward with clarity. My work is about helping you become your own healer in a way that's grounded in real life. All the links are below, and I'll see you next time.